What is going on, guys? My name is DJ Milez, and is it really a surprise I would be reviewing a show like this, considering I talked about Rent-A-Girlfriend last year? Now, take that for what it is, but when you have one romantic comedy, slice of life, genre of a show, and now we move over to Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, I can see why people would like this show, but the second highest on the Mal list in terms of popularity? And even if we don't use the Mal list and we use the live chart website, Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro is still ridiculously high, higher than I expected. Now, I know something like this is such a specific niche and it's carved into a genre where people who love it will absolutely love it and have a blast with it, but man, I didn't realize how many people would actually really enjoy it. And I can't help but ask myself, are many of you fixated on a show like this? And I don't say this to poke fun at anyone, because you're living vicariously through the protagonist of this show. In any case, Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro is a show, for those of you who don't know, where this guy somewhat gets bullied, but I would say playfully teased a lot by the other co-star of this show, the female protagonist or antagonist, depending on who you're asking, Nagatoro. And well, she realizes this kid who is very shy and timid around hot women or attractive girls in general gets put under these tense and hilarious situations on how to really behave when he's in these, what I would say, maybe intimate situations with a significant other. Now, what we see happening in episode 4 right away, just getting into the sexual innuendos, and I feel like I'm just going to say that a lot if we get more of these. If you want to see more of these reviews, let me know in the comments down below. With Nagatoro washing her hands, tells Nato or Senpai, oh, we're washing our hands together as if we were taking a bath before having sex, which is hilarious because I never really thought about how often people wash their hands before sex, but what I thought they were trying to get at is when Nagatoro was washing her hands up and down in this motion like this, it looked like she was doing something else or getting, well, maybe the cream out of her hands. And then how did they do it? They played up for laughs where now she starts clapping her hands together on his hands, going up and down in this motion, which looks like, well, I'll leave it to your imaginations. And then how did they end the scene? Him washing his hands a bit prematurely as he does the face, and then he runs off. And then we finally go into the meat and potatoes of the first half of this episode, where Nagatoro's friends ends up finding Senpai having lunch alone in his own little club room space, his little zen space, so to speak. And what happens? Her friends and Nagatoro's friends ends up finding out, oh yeah, this guy, we'll have some fun with him, because I didn't realize he was that shy around women. And going from 0 to 100, they tell Senpai, have you ever touched a woman's breast before? And man, if you're in this kid's situation and two attractive girls ask you, you want to touch a boob? I mean, first of all, fellas, that's a trap. Second of all, it's also a test, and how well you answer may well give you good results. They play for jokes and laughs because, well, that's what this show is all about. And then what did they do? What did they do? And I quote, I was forced to touch her breast, which is pretty funny for a guy to say in many situations, and what ends up being the case that, well, Senpai was touching this girl's bean buns, although it could be soft and round and subtle like an actual breast. And how did they do it with great effects? Nagatoro ends up getting jealous, although she acts like she wasn't jealous, asking Senpai whether or not he touched the girl's breast. He said no, they were bean buns. And then what happened? She does this cruel little joke, which is the bean bun I want and which is just a regular old bean bun. And then, well, what ends up happening when the bean buns drop? And then he starts playing and caressing Nagatoro's hands, and as he's really digesting and diligently describing what it's like touching a breast, I don't even know if it's appropriate enough for me to say how many of you have touched a breast, but for those of you who have touched a breast, I would say Senpai described it in a, well, spot on description. Nagatoro blushes, and then that's the end of Act 1. And for people who have read the manga or who have been watching the show, I'd imagine even if there's a cohesive storyline narrative, it seems like each episode, at least when they break it down to the first half and the second half with the mid-credits, it seems like they can just be standalone little pieces. And is Miss Nagatoro or Don't Toy With Me Nagatoro like that? Just little short stories while telling an overall narrative plot, whatever that may be, of Senpai ultimately getting with this girl? Let me know in the comments down below if you know the answer to that, because I don't think that's really necessarily a big spoiler. However, the second half of this episode takes place where Senpai tells Nagatoro it's nice for this baseball player to have a lot of praise, and Nagatoro is like, well, if you want praise, you gotta give praise and start telling me things about me that's so beautiful. And again, with comedic laughs, he starts listing off certain traits, but then she actually genuinely blushes because he says her roundhouse kick, or that kick she did back in episode 1, was pretty awesome. And as she falls asleep, she tells Senpai, you aren't half bad if you can just be a little more ... And what is that? A little more ... confident. I know it's hard and maybe a bit irritating for shy and timid guys to hear from confident guys like myself to say, hey, just be more confident. That's how women will grow and learn to appreciate you. And although there's so many situations that Nagatoro puts Senpai under that is awkward and something intimate that you should ideally do with a significant other, just not out in public. Fellas, I'm telling you, when you get to those moments, you gotta be the first one to grab the girl and kiss her. You gotta be the first one to be assertive, because many times that's what women want. If you're someone like Senpai who's shy and timid all the time, it's adorable and cute to a certain extent, but when the going gets, well, now it's time to have fun, we'll leave it as that. You gotta be a bit dominant. And I think that's the thing I actually really enjoy with this show. As shy and comedic as it is for Senpai to be very timid, at least he's lucky enough to be put under these situations that are growing pains. I don't know how many of you have been in a significant other or the person that you have a crush on's house or first date, and when you had that first kiss and when you hold hands, ladies, the guys are really shy and we shake and we get tense many times, right? Because we don't know if this is okay or not. And I think that's what I really walk away appreciating with a show like this, is that as much as Senpai is shy and timid, I was there. I can tell you, I have no problem. I was in all those situations that he's under, that Senpai is under, and that he deals with each passing episode. And although Senpai doesn't kiss Nagatoro like he thought he would, well, at least he's getting one step closer towards that, because where's this show ultimately going to go with them dating, right? So, but hey, those were my thoughts on episode 4 of Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. For those of you who are loving the show, what are your favorite parts? And are you really obsessed with the show because you're living vicariously through Senpai or Nato? Let me know in the comments down below. If you got some value and entertainment, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to my channel for more anime content. My name is DJ Milez, and as I always say, to be continued, take care.